Hey, I'm Jonathan Sewell Sales at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise. And for this car vid, I'm joined by two beautiful Mazdas for a quick comparison of the Mazda3 Hatchback and the Mazda CX-30. So let's dive in. We know a lot about these two, and specifically we're talking about the premium package. So you have the Mazda3 Hatchback 2021 Premium and the 2021 Mazda CX-30 Premium. Now we saw a boost in equipment, standard equipment this year, with the nav card being standard and a few other changes across the lineup. So with these being on the same platform, same basic trim inside, or the same layout, they have the same equipment. But what we're going to talk about today is the differences in size, inside, outside, cargo, and price. So let's get started. We'll start with the 3 hatchback that's been around for a long time. This is the 4th generation. And so just looking at this profile here, you notice that this is definitely more sleek, more sporty, and a little bit lower to the ground than you would expect a crossover. So this is the sedan plus is what I would refer to it as. So it's a sedan size plus more cargo with the hatchback, and definitely a more sporty look, to include the black gloss wheels to really make it sporty. Also, we'll cut to the front grille, which is a darker look with the darker wing and the chrome, or the no chrome, but the gloss front. So it just ties in across the whole line. Both of these are snowflake white pearl exterior. However, the sporty Mazda 3 hatchback has the option of black or red interior on this premium model. So if you put polymetal gray on the outside, which is available in this hatchback, this is the original carbon edition. Polymetal gray, red interior, black gloss wheels. So you can see this setup here, just looking over top, you can see that the CX-30 is higher. So we'll step back and look at the quick specs on this. This one actually is a little bit longer than the CX-30, and the wheelbase is a little bit wider or longer. So those front wheels are pushed up to match the long hood and the sleek design of this vehicle. So compared to the CX-30, you have a wider or longer wheelbase, which helps out with the ride tremendously. Also, as you can see, the height is coming in, and this is actually about 6 inches shorter than the CX-30, but a very, very sporty vehicle. All right, now on the CX-30, this is the premium model. Of course, we have the big fenders, which really set this apart from every other crossover. Even bigger, believe, than the CX-3, its predecessor. These are on the same platform, of course, but this is your crossover version. So on this premium package, you get the roof rails, and because of the little bit higher, a little bit more sheet metal probably, it is a little bit higher price point, and we'll go over those in just a minute. Both sit on 18-inch wheels. You can see that the ground clearance is a little bit higher. And as we step back and look at the whole profile here, again, this is a little bit shorter overall length than the Mazda 3. You can see that it edges it out by a nose. And so just a few inches there difference. Same powertrain on these two, the 2.5 liter with 6-speed automatic. The CX-30 gets 1 mile per gallon less than the Mazda 3 hatchback. Has to do with a coefficient of drag sitting up a little higher, I'm sure. But you have a more traditional lift gate instead of just that hatchback design. And you can see that visibility is probably a little bit better because of a more narrow C-pillar back here than what's on the hatchback. This one, of course, is snowflake white pearl on the outside, and one of 2 interiors available on the premium, the black or the white, both with the brown accents on the premium. So you have that option, which is, of course, contrast from the sportier style. And talking about contrasting the sporty style, the front of the Mazda CX-30, as you can see, carries the traditional chrome signature wing there. And although it is a gloss grille, it's just more elegant designed instead of sporty, which is why you have the bright finish aluminum wheels. Now, as we know, now the turbo model is available in the CX-30, which does give you gloss black wheels. But for the most part, everything else is the same, including that front chrome signature wing. So let's cover a few more things on the outside, then we'll look at the cargo space. Okay, so talking about ground clearance earlier, it's about 5.5 inches on the Mazda 3. So I have your standard, and I'm not advocating or sponsored by Niagara, but I have a standard 8-inch 16.9 ounce bottle of water, and you can see that it's hitting this rocker panel, but the overall ground clearance is actually less than this rocker panel, of course. So you can see this 8-inch bottle of water that everybody probably has at their house is where that lines up about at that rocker panel. Now jump over to the CX-30. The CX-30 has a published 8-inch ground clearance, which is coincidentally the length of this water bottle. However, as you can see, it by far, a couple inches, I would say at least, clears this bottle. So again, there's some low-hanging materials in the front, is lower than this portion right here, but you can see in a similar position, you can set that bottle of water completely underneath the CX-30 and with plenty of room. So 8 inches of clearance versus 5.5. Now we're talking about interior room, or a little bit of passenger volume, but more specifically just your space. Now, according to Mazda's website, the headroom up front is within 1/2 inch of both vehicles. And the legroom on the Mazda 3, as of now, is 42 inches. And that's the only measurements that we have from Mazda's website, because they do not list the front legroom of the CX-30 at this time. However, I would say, just from being in both, and because of the longer wheelbase and longer front end, that you'll have more legroom in the Mazda 3. Now, as we go to the back seat, as you can see, and this seat's fairly far back, but as you go, the headroom is actually a little bit less in the rear of the Mazda 3 hatchback, and the rear legroom is a little bit less also, but just a fraction of an inch, really. So there's the look there, and here's the stats on the seating of the Mazda 3 hatchback. Okay, taking a quick look at the CX-30, you can see that, as with all crossovers and all vehicles, you could really see the elaborated or the exaggerated theater seating here. As I mentioned, those specific specs of the front legroom, I would believe that you'd have more front legroom in the Mazda 3 because of where the front axle is positioned, pushed away a little bit more. But your headroom, of course, is pretty close. And as you look at the rear seating is very similar. But of course, these measurements are just official guides. I would recommend that you come and sit in them and try them out yourself to see exactly what fits you best with your specific or comfortable seating positions. Let's take a look at the specs of the CX-30 and see how they stack up here. No conversation is complete without talking about the rear cargo. Now, because the CX-30 is a crossover, it has the benefit of a power rear liftgate, which the Mazda 3 unfortunately does not have. However, let's see how they stack up on actual cargo space. Okay, the first thing that you notice is, because of the extra height of the CX-30, your liftgate is higher as well. Also, there's a little bit different from the side. As we cut away, you can see a difference there. Also, while we're here on the side, notice how the Mazda 3 has that cargo insert, or that cargo cover insert, which is removable and will have to be removed for the maximum cargo space. Okay, you notice that I removed the cargo cover, and with those second row seats up as they are now, this is rated at, or quantified at 20.1 cubic feet. 20.1 cubic feet as you look back on the Mazda 3 hatchback and the rear cargo. Now, when you fold those seats down, it increases to 47.2. So 47.2 total cargo availability. And of course, to do that, you'll probably have to slide those front seats up. But 47.2 is available on the Mazda 3 hatchback. Let's see how this CX-30 compares. The CX-30 is rated at 20.2. So 20.2 cargo, or total cubic feet, with the seats up. So that's 0.1 or 1/10 cubic foot better than the hatchback. So about the same. When you fold down these seats, however, that's where the difference comes in. You lose 2 cubic feet compared to the hatchback. So this is 45.2 with those seats folded down. So a little bit of cargo difference between the CX-30 and the Mazda 3 hatchback. The biggest question is, how often would you be willing to fold down those seats based on how many people ride with you to get the maximum cubic footage or the maximum cargo available? If you have those seats up as these two vehicles are now, positioned now, they're about the same. Since it's nighttime and we have these two vehicles out here, we might as well show them with their lights on. So of course, as these are running, hopefully it's not as loud, probably not as loud as the Boulevard, but you can see a little bit of differences here. They both, being premiums, have the signature lighting. The biggest difference, of course, is the parking lights or blinkers that the CX-30 has, compared to really nothing showing like that on the Mazda 3. Of course, it's going to be right next to the main headlight there, but still does not show down at the bottom, which again kind of goes to its sporty look, because you really want to be minimal on that design. So here's a close-up of that signature lighting on the CX-30, and here's a look of that signature lighting on the Mazda 3 hatchback. Now let's take a stroll back here to the back and compare the two. The biggest difference, of course, as you can see, is the smaller, sleek, kind of exaggerated point there, more of a blunt tip compared to the exaggerated style, which is kind of easily noticeable. Other than that, the brake lights are very similar. And we'll take a close-up look here, or the tail lights, I should say. The biggest difference, of course, is going to be on these LED designs on the hatchback for your blinker and your reverse, are kind of a grouping of 4 small ones there. Here's a look at that side. And as we focus on the CX-30, theirs is more of a flat reverse light and just a more singular designed blinker. Both have LED tag lights, of course. So I think that about wraps up the conversation of the differences on the between the Mazda 3 hatchback and the CX-30. I know that there's probably some things I didn't cover, so go ahead and drop them down below with a question in the comments, and I'll be happy to answer them as I can. The last thing that I need to talk about is the pricing on both. There's about $1,000 difference between these two as they come, just the standard packages there and the premium packages. And most of that is probably because of the roof rails on the CX-30. Then, of course, the little bit of difference in the overall design. So these specific vehicles with a little bit of upcharge for the snowflake white paint, here are their prices now comparatively. So I am Jonathan Sewell at Mitchell Mazda on the Boulevard in Enterprise. If you have any other questions or comments that you need immediate assistance, go ahead and text me or call me at 334-718-0504. I really can't wait to see you in one of these beautiful vehicles, and I really can't wait to share more car vids with you. So stay tuned for more, and reach out in between if you have any other questions, because either one of these vehicles will make you very happy, and they're both very beautiful Mazdas.